Hey guys, today I want to be talking about how I made a movie with my entire high school. And this was honestly one of the craziest filming experiences ever. It was so much work. This was like the movie that almost made me give up filmmaking. It took so long to make, from the very beginning and idea back in January of 2022 all the way to the completion and premiere all the way in late October. So this thing took more than 10 months, almost a year to make. It had the most people I've ever had on a film set, almost 100 people. We played it at graduation with hundreds and thousands of people watching. This was such a crazy film experience. And to be able to direct, write, and film and make something like this in high school is just a dream come true for me. And this story essentially is about two young kids who run around the forest and they find a sword, and after gripping onto the sword, they are imbued with the passions of the people that came before them. The people that the sword represents are the people that embodies passion and courageousness and all these great values. And it's a story about my high school. It's a story about these kids earning their sword by achieving the four pillars of athletics, activities, acceptance, and academics. And this is a love letter to the 4 years I spent at Kelly Walsh High School in the great state of Wyoming. And this was kind of the present I gave my school after I left. Hopefully this thing lives on for a while. So I always kind of thought it'd be cool to make a story, a film about my high school, right? My high school I think is a great place, and I think there's all these different cultures and traditions at this high school, and I just kind of wanted to make a film that sort of talks about all this. And one day, it was January, very beginning of 2022, the second semester of my senior year. I was playing ping pong and I was just thinking, you know what? I'm gonna graduate really soon. I'm gonna be leaving this school and no one's gonna ever remember me. I think it'd be so cool if I can just leave something behind that the future generations of Trojans at my high school will, remember me just a little bit. And I was like, what do I do? What can I do, right? I make movies. So I was like, why don't I make a film that's kind of leaves almost like a legacy behind when I leave? And this is when the idea hit me. So I just started brainstorming more and more, and I was the more I think about it, the more it comes together. And after playing ping pong, I hit up two of my really close friends and I was like, hey, what do you think about this idea? And they loved the idea and they thought it was a great thing to do for the school, and they were so down to help me with it. So I got two of my best friends on board. I began working on the outline of the story. I wrote a whole story treatment with every scene, what's gonna happen in the scenes. And this was kind of like the script, because I didn't have an actual script for this. It was just a story outline. And that's what I used for this movie. One of the key parts of this story to make it come alive is getting the leadership, the principals on board. If they're on board, I can get access to all these locations, all these things I wouldn't be able to get access to otherwise. I was kind of nervous going into it. Me and my friend one day went to the principal's office, and the principal got out of his meeting and we pitched him the idea. And you know what? He seemed like he was kind of interested, but he wasn't really hyped about it as we were. And he told us, why don't you make me a storyboard and let's talk more about it. And we're like, okay, let's do it. So we left the office, and I'm pretty sure he thought we were gonna come back a few days later. But no, we went to the library. Me and my friend drew up the storyboard in 30 minutes, and we came right back. We showed the principal the storyboard, and honestly, he really liked it. He brought in one of the assistant principals, and she also really liked it. All right, so once the principals got on board, I started trying to figure out the cinematography, what kind of vibe I want with it, what kind of tone, how am I gonna film it, what's the visual style behind this. I started brainstorming, getting some ideas. The story, I think it's about the idea of these people achieving greatness instead of the specific people themselves. So basically I wanted to do just silhouettes of people doing basketball, baseball, or whatever, and then the mountain scene where the kids running around, that's gonna be just a very beautiful green pasture feeling. And once I figured that out, I started making a list of all the activities I want to showcase, and with each activity I wanted to showcase, I had people that potentially could fit these roles. They're some of the best in each activity, tennis. I got the two best tennis players in the state. All these different activities, I put people that I felt fit the role. And this is where the fun begins. We started texting every single person on that list, which is almost 100 people, right? So we were just like, hey, do you want to do this? And I started getting the responses started rolling in, and we were at this, like, we had an open block, me and my friend just in the library texting people, and just so many messages coming in and out, and it was just like, it was crazy. Like, my phone was getting blown up like crazy. They were super excited to be a part of this project. They kind of believed in the vision, and once I got a pretty good list of people that were down, and then after this we were trying to figure out the locations. Me and my friend drove around town location scouting. The principal came in clutch. He was giving us a lot of access to different classrooms in the school, the gym, all these different places, even the swimming pool. We also got access to the church. One of the first people I brought on earlier, he goes to this church, right? And he has the keys to it. So we got this church as a location. We also got my friend's house as one of the locations. Once we got all these locations down, all these actors down, we were getting ready for production. And this is when the fun begins. The first ever scene we did was with the cheerleaders. I got 3 different cheerleaders who were down to do it, and we got to the location at the church. And the night before this, we try to figure out the silhouette lighting. We spent a few hours trying out the different lights, different curtains, and it was just so difficult. It was so confusing. We just couldn't figure it out, and then we somewhat kind of got it. The cheerleading thing looks a little different than most of the other scenes because we tried our best with the silhouette, and it was really difficult. However, when the cheerleaders got there, we filmed them, and honestly, for this process, we kind of just said, do whatever you think looks cool. That's something that can kind of show off the activity, right? And we filmed the scene. It was pretty good. And then the next day we filmed the chess and the orchestra scenes. We also filmed this at the church. We were in a smaller of a room, so it was harder to do the silhouette lighting, but it was still kind of like the silhouette kind of feeling to it. So after filming these things, I kind of took a little break, a few days, and then we got one of my friends to do the art/photography scene. And I went to my friend's house. My friend, he had a little art studio in his basement, and he had some paintings that worked, so it looked really good. So then we did the engineering scene. That honestly took a while too, getting the silhouettes and stuff. It was kind of difficult, but it was fun. We got some really cool close-ups, a lot of cool different shots, moving shots, and it looked really nice. And then after that, we did the computer science scene. We did this in my computer lab, aka APCSP classroom. We basically wrote codes all over the walls and different things. It looked really cool. And then we did the different lightings, and it honestly looked really nice. After the computer science, we filmed some scenes for the acceptance pillar, which was people hugging, celebrating, stuff like that. And we filmed that in this little hallway we found in the school. It looked pretty good. Honestly, all the lights I used in this movie were pretty much 3 little clamp lights. So you know what? For what I had, it looked as best as I could. And it would have been a lot better if I could shut off the lights in the school hallway, but we couldn't. So then we were like, you know what? This is taking forever. We're spending one day on one scene, and we're not gonna finish this movie. We're not even 1/10 of a way there yet. So then we're like, okay, let's start batching them. Let's try to do 3 activities a day for a whole week. That's 15 different activities, right? This is the beginning of a more effective scheduling. We figured out. So we did the anatomy scene. This scene was honestly pretty good. We got access to the anatomy classroom, and we had these different models, and this was honestly one of my favorite scenes cinematography wise. It looked just so good, and what the haze in the can added such a nice texture to it. After that, we filmed the guys acceptance scene, and we had this classroom, and we filmed at these lockers as well, hugging, helping each other, just things that embodied this spirit, right? So after that, in the evening, I got 2 of my other friends to come in for more of the acceptance pillar for the girls part. And this idea of the sticky notes, it came from when sometimes you come to school and there's sticky notes everywhere with positive messages. So we did the sticky notes thing, which looked really good. It was actually really funny. We filmed at the janitor's cart, and low-key my lights fell into the trash can, and my friends had to crawl inside the trash can, and it was a whole thing. But the footage just looked really good. The next day we did the filmmaking scene, and basically we were at the film studio of our school, and we had this nice broadcasting camera and like it looked pretty epic, and a blue screen in the background. After we got done, we went to the history classroom. So we went in there, dressed the set a little bit, set up the lighting. Looked really nice actually. We also did like a little like scroll like Declaration of Independence thing on like this paper towel that looked like, you know, historical paper. And after we finished filming that, we went to my friend's church because they had these podiums, and we used it for the speech and debate scene. I actually acted in that scene, which was like a cool little cameo I did, which was nice, you know, being some cameos in my movies. Speaking of that, I should give myself a credit on IMDb. It's my first acting gig. Yeah, I'm gonna do that after this video. So then in the evening, we went to the swimming pool. The teacher, the principal opened the room for us, and we went inside and filmed the swimming scene, which honestly looked really cool with the light hitting the water. And we only had like these little 2 LED lights, and what we made with it like just looked so good, and I was proud of that scene, honestly. All right, so the next day we filmed the ROTC scenes, and we got a bunch of people. I knew a friend who's like a pretty top tier ranking person in ROTC, and she got a lot of her friends to do it, and we low-key had like access to the entire gym, which is pretty cool because usually the gym is pretty busy, but we kind of just like booked it because the principal was there. It was really funny, like I was walking through the school with my gear and my assistant director who was carrying the camera. Like all these kids would just like turn their head and look at us, and it was cool. Like they're like, yo, what are you doing? Like, and you know, everyone was just super curious, like, you making another movie? So it was cool. And we went in the gym, we filmed with the ROTC people. It looked really nice. They did a ton of marching with the flag and stuff like that. It looked so cool. And then after filming the ROTC, we went to the math classroom and filmed the math scene, and we wrote like math equations all over the wall, and they were like legit equations. Like our actor was like very smart, knows all this math stuff, and she wrote out all these equations. And you know, the final solution is a 4, you know, the 4 pillars. So it was kind of cool. That scene was pretty fun to do. We put the light like on the ceiling, did all these crazy like shadows and stuff. I think that scene was pretty good. I like the academic scenes. Actually, I like all the scenes. So after filming the math scene, we decided to film the English scene. And this scene, we're like, hey, let's do it in the library because, you know, it's books. And in the library, there's this like little office with all these like decorations, and we're like, yo, this is so cool. And the librarian's like, yeah, you can use it if you want. Also, the librarians love me. Like, they know I do film, and the scene looked really good. My friend who is actually in that scene, he goes to NYU for screenwriting, which is really sick. But we did like a little stop motion thing with the books, which was super cool. Fun fact, we almost forgot where the books went back in the shelves, so we like spent so long trying to figure that out. After filming that, we went to this indoor tennis court, and we filmed the tennis scene. And you know, one of my best friends, he's like the state champion of Wyoming for tennis, and he's like just the GOAT, right? And also he's been in a lot of my movies. We got there, they warmed up a little bit, we figured out the angles, and we filmed it. And this is when we realized doing the silhouette for each thing is almost impossible, because how are we supposed to create silhouettes in this indoor tennis court, right? Essentially, like we couldn't control the lights because there's other people play in the background, right? So we couldn't like have access, and we couldn't like try to do the lights ourselves. So we basically, you know, use what we had, try to do as much silhouette as possible, but it was really almost impossible. So we decided to aim for a teal and orange look to all the shots instead, and I think that made the film a lot better. I think it added like an element to it that just looked really cool. So we filmed the tennis scene, they did some trick shots, wieners, all the different stuff like that behind the back. So after we filmed the tennis scene, the next day we filmed the dance scene with one of the girls on the dance team. She did some really cool dance moves, did some flips that, you know, added a lot to the story, with the one girl who morphs into the other girl. Like, that was so cool. So we did that thing. We filmed it in the gym as well. We also booked the whole entire gym, which was so cool. And this time we got to control the lights. So we did the dance scene, and then my friend, who's like the team captain for the basketball team, pulled up, and we did the basketball stuff. You know, he was dunking, doing all these like 3-pointers. And we did this really cool like thing where it was like a POV shot where I was pretending to be blocking him and he jukes me and I fall and break my ankle and stuff like that. And it was cool. I mean, it didn't really make the cut, but it was fun to film that. Also, that was the day I found out I got into USC Film School. It was a surreal day to me. After we filmed the basketball scene, we went to a restaurant and celebrated. It was so nice. So that weekend, we went to the school again. The principal unlocked the building for us, gave us access to whatever locations we wanted to use. We filmed the scene with the chemistry. We brought some Gatorades to pretend it's like chemicals. I mean, I wish the teacher was there so then we could do some cool explosions and effects. But honestly, for what we had, it still looked really cool. And then we headed downstairs to the weightlifting area and we filmed more there. Okay, so there's this clip where the bar is going, the pull-up bar thing, and then it's like 300 pounds goes up. So to film that, me and my friend both like grabbed onto each side of the pull-up bar and we like tried so hard. We tried so many times and finally got 300 pounds up. It was so funny, but I think that was like one of the wow factors of the film. Like when they saw that, everyone's like, what? Like how'd she do that? And it's like, it's Trojan strength, you know? One of my friends from earlier, the one that did the English scene, when we filmed that scene, he told us there's gonna be a senior meeting where every single senior in our grade, which is about like almost 500 people, are gonna be at an auditorium and they're gonna be talking to us about stuff. And he's like, you know, it'd be a cool way to promote this film a little bit. So that weekend, I kind of whipped up like a quick trailer for this movie with the score of like with Hall of Fame in the background. And it's like a 3-minute like little teaser for this film, right? And I sent it to the principal. He was cool and he was like, all right, we'll play it at the senior meeting. So the day of the senior meeting hit and you know, I was so excited. Me and my friend both like pulled up to the meeting and there's so many people and we played the film and people loved it. Everyone was so excited. They got so hyped. They were cheering, they were clapping throughout the whole entire movie. It was just so cool to be, you know, I guess responsible for entertaining all these people. After the meeting, me and my friend both like left and I was just getting so many text messages from people and everyone's like, yo, I want to be in this movie. I want a scene. And it was like, everyone was so excited. The people that were in it, they were like, dude, it looks so good. It's so amazing. Like what you did is just so great. And I was so happy about it. So it was really fun. Yeah, but this is where it gets crazy. Stay tuned for part 2 as the things we filmed gets crazier and crazier. We even got a celebrity in one of the scenes. We got soccer, football, track, all these fun things. We got crazier sets. We'll even talk about the premiere of this film, which is one of the craziest experiences ever. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for part 2. Peace out.